Want to make things magically appear in your levels? Today, I'm going to teach you how to be a Mario Maker 2 magician that can turn something like this magically into something like this. Let's get started. Like most magicians, we want to make something seemingly impossible happen while we make our levels. We can do this by playing on the assumption that only one element can be in any given space at a time. That's where a technique called spawn blocking comes into play. Spawn blocking is when we put two things in the exact same space in the course editor. One of these will be an object or enemy, while the other will be a breakable block or two-state block. For this example, we will use a mushroom and a hard block, but make sure to stick around through the end of the video to see every option possible. When we place the mushroom and hard block in the same square in the course editor and press start, only the hard block will show up. If we then destroy that hard block and reload the area by going through a door, now the mushroom magically appears. To figure out different ways to hide objects, we need to see which elements we can use to stop the item or object from appearing. We will call these elements blockers, and they consist of two-state blocks, also known as dotted line blocks, hard blocks, ice blocks, question blocks, and normal blocks. Keeping the mushroom as the example of our magically appearing item that we are blocking, we can see how to use these different blockers. For two-state blocks, all the player needs to do is activate an on-off switch and reload the room. This can be done directly by the player, or by an off-screen contraption like this thwomp switch. You can include a two-state block that destroys the thwomp as well, so that it won't trigger the switch a second time. Hard blocks and ice blocks will need to be destroyed as we saw in our original example. This can be done directly by the player with things like a spiked helmet, or indirectly with things like spike pillars or bob-on contraptions. Here's an example of a setup that will allow items to appear without the player interacting with the hard blocks or ice blocks. Once the block is destroyed, they can reload the area, this time by moving away from the contraption and back towards it, and the mushroom will appear. Question blocks and regular blocks are a little bit trickier. They work the same way as hard blocks, but only can block certain objects. In our case, if we try to place the mushroom that we've been using on top of the block, it will go inside the block instead. To use these blockers, we must try to block something that's not allowed to go inside, such as a twister. Using any method to destroy the block, just like we did with hard blocks, will then allow that twister to appear. Now that we know what we can use as our blockers, it's time to talk about the magic objects that we can appear. For this video, we're going to call these spawns. Let's take a look at what we can and cannot use as spawns by category. We're going to use the hard block as our example blocker for all these cases. Terrain can't be blocked because the blockers are all some form of terrain already and override any potential spawns we can place. For items, we cannot block all variants of coin, the cape feather, the super leaf, or the propeller mushroom. Enemies that can't be blocked in the retro styles are Cheep Cheeps, Bloopers, Monty Moles, Rocky Wrenches, Lava Bubbles, Boos, the Angry Sun, and Lakitus. In the 3D World style, Piranha Creepers, Charivari, and the Porky Puffer cannot be blocked as well. Since most gizmos can't be blocked, instead we're going to talk about which ones we can block. We can block twisters, bullet blasters, cannons, P-switches, trampolines, POW blocks in the retro styles, with the addition of crates in the 3D World style. So, we're able to block most items, most enemies, and even some gizmos. We can even block enemies or items that are larger than one space with just a single blocker. Here we have a fully extended bullet blaster and a single hard block. With just one blocker in the way of any part of this bullet blaster, the entire thing will be blocked and will not appear. We can also make this work with a giant Bowser and a single question block. When we start the level, only the question block will appear until it's destroyed and the area is reloaded. Who knew a huge Nintendo villain could be hidden by one tiny block? To add impact to our spawn blocking, we can use something called scroll stopping to help focus the camera on our newly appeared items. To find out more, click on the video on the screen right now. And if you want to learn how to make courses, improve your level design, and stay updated on Mario Maker 2, remember to subscribe and click that bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.